Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's nice to be teaching a class to people rather than just talking directly to the camera these days. So very, very, very welcome to join me here today for our yoga class. So today's class is going to be about getting some movement into the spine, especially into the upper spine. So we have a lot of movement naturally in the lower spine, which is why it gets so tired. So we need to build up the muscles to support the lower spine and increase the mobility in the upper spine. So that's going to be our mental kind of focus today. That's what we're going to be focusing our minds on as we move through. Of course, we'll be involving the rest of the body too. Nothing works in isolation, so we're going to have to work into all parts of the body as we go through. So find yourself in a comfortable seated position. I'm sitting on my heels at the moment. That might not be so comfortable for you. Just find a way that is going to be comfortable for you. I'm just going to mute somebody there. And we're going to just make ourselves comfortable. So you might have a few cushions or blankets nearby, in which case you can sit up on your cushions. You might like to place cushions under your legs to support your legs in your seated position. And we're just going to take a few minutes to get grounded. So take as much time as you need. Make sure you're on your sit bones and sitting tall and straight. So again, think of a nice erect spine. Firm up maybe the lower belly a little bit again to give you that support in your seat. And then just allow yourself to soften into that position. So we build ourselves up, but we want the hips to relax, the legs to relax. We don't want to be so tense that we are unable to concentrate on our breath. So we really want you to be able to concentrate on the breath right now. So from your seat, allow yourself to ground into the hips, into all the parts of the body really that are touching your mat right now. Relax your shoulders, let them just roll back and relax down. Let your hands rest on your lap. If you'd like to come into a mudra, you might like to bring your thumb and first finger to touch, palms facing up for a little uplifting feeling, or palms down for grounding. Take a deep breath in and just let it go in a sigh. We'll do that one more time, breathing in and letting go in a sigh, closing your eyes. And then just starting to watch your breath, become aware of the breath. And we're going to be working up towards creating a balance in our breath, an equal inhale and exhale. So what I'm going to get you to do now is just start to count the length of your inhale in your own mind, your own rhythm, and counting the length of your exhale. Firstly, to create just awareness of how the breathing is right now naturally, whether your inhale is longer than your exhale or your exhale longer than your inhale. There's no right or wrong, just notice and acknowledge. You may notice as you focus on your breath that the breath naturally starts to slow down in response and go a little deeper, a little smoother. Just through that awareness and the stillness that you're creating for yourself. And you're always, again, just noticing the count. And maybe at this stage, starting to find some balance. So equalizing the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. We're going to continue that same principle, but through alternate nostrils. So the mudra, the hand position, is with the right hand. I'm going to show you with my right hand. They get confused if I try and mirror this particular one. We're going to place the first two fingers, so index finger and middle finger, at the what would be the eyebrow center, or the third eye on the forehead. We're going to bring the thumb to the right nostril and the ring finger to the left nostril. So let them just hover beside the nostrils for now. Then take a deep breath in. And we're going to close the right nostril with our thumb, breathe out completely through the left. And we'll begin. So breathe in through the left nostril for 1, 2, 3, 4. Close the left, breathe out right. 2, 3, 4. In right. 2, 3, 4. Close right, breathe out left. 2, 3, 4. In left. 2, 3, 4. Out right. 2, 3, 4. In right. 2, 3, 4. Out left. 2, 3, 4. In left. 2, 3, 4. Out right. 2, 3, 4. In right. 2, 3, 4. Out left. 2, 3, 4. In left. 2, 3, 4. Out right. 2, 3, 4. In right. 2, 3, 4. Out left. 2, 3, 4. Last round in left. 3, 4. Out right. 2, 3, 4. In right. 2, 3, 4. Out left. 2, 3, 4. And let your hand rest back down on your lap. And just take a few nice deep equal breaths again to absorb the effects of that balancing pranayama, or breathing exercise. All good for creating a sense of equilibrium in the body, the mind. And that's definitely what we need right now, I think. That's how I feel anyway. So we will begin by coming into a child's pose. So make your way over onto all fours. And gently start to sit back on your heels, flattening your toes if you can. And walk your hands out in front of you for a nice stretch through the spine, especially when you've been sitting for a while like that. You might find that it's tiring on your back. So we just start to stretch out, relax. And if you can rest your head on the ground, great. If it doesn't make it to the ground, it's okay. You can just hover if that's comfortable for you. But if you need a support for your head, you can always place a cushion or a block or a book under your head either, just to take the weight if your head is feeling heavy or your neck is feeling tired. Otherwise, just walk your fingers away from you as far as you can go and press your hips back down onto your heels. And you may feel as well your belly now is a little restricted, so that your belly breath won't be able to expand here. So you're expanding into the backs of your lungs and into your back, and feel the kind of back rib cage kind of expand on your inhale and contract on your exhale. From here today, we're going to take a little side bend. So we're going to walk our hands to the right. So over to the right to take a stretch up through the left side. So just let the arms come perhaps off your mat a little towards the right, but just see how far you can go. This will be different for everyone. You can continue to press down onto your heels as much as possible. Keep the hips down on the heels, especially the left side now, and feel a stretch up through your left side. You may even be able to place your left hand on top of your right hand for a little extra stretch through that side. Just see where you can go. Feel a stretch maybe into the lats under the arms, into the intercostal muscles, weaving through the rib cage. And then we'll start to walk back to center. Take a breath in the middle. And then walk your hands over to the left, as far as you can go, maybe placing your right hand on top of your left hand. And then allowing yourself to sink down into the pose again, feeling that extra little stretch through the right side. Last breath. And then gently walk your hands back to center. And we're going to lift ourselves up onto our knees. Walk the hands back in towards us a little bit so that your wrists can be right under your shoulders. And we're going to start to move the spine now as the first of our kind of spinal undulation moves. So as we come into the cat pose, we're rounding the spine, tucking the tail towards the floor, bringing your chin towards your chest to create that nice rainbow shape from your head to your tail. Lift your back up and feel like you're really pressing the floor away from you with your hands, drawing your belly in, drawing the rib cage up, looking back towards your belly or your thighs. Hold it here for another breath. And then next time you breathe in, we're going to reverse it. So we're going to create what I like to say, a smile with our back. So lift your tail, and you can work from your tail all the way up to your head in a nice kind of mindful movement way of feeling into every vertebrae of the spine. So working from the tail through the lower back, so dropping the lumbar towards the floor, and then feeling the curve up into the upper back, into the neck as you look forward, and again draw the shoulders down and back. Draw your belly in as well. Even though the belly is kind of sinking towards the floor, you're still keeping a firmness in the lower belly. Spread out your fingers and ground down through each part of your hands. So your heel, the heel of your hands, the ball of your hands, base of each finger, tip of each finger. Hold it here. And if you feel your pelvic floor, lift the pelvic floor a little. Again, this all helps to engage your core. And then we're going to start to flow with this one. So on your exhale, you're lifting your back up and coming into that cat shape, looking back towards your thighs. Inhale, again, ripple through the spine, drop the belly, lift the head, lift the tail. Exhale, round the spine, look back towards the thighs. Inhale, arch the spine and look forward. Exhale, round, look back. Inhale, arch and look forward. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Do one more like that. So just go at your own pace with your own breath. And then come back into a flat back. Sink your hips back onto your heels. Walk your hands in front and just give the arms and wrists a little rest. If you need to just put your elbows on the ground and shake out your wrists, that's okay. It's a nice thing to do. Flamenco hands, I like to call them. And back the other direction. And back onto the mat. Inhale, coming up. And this time we're going to bring a little movement into the hips as well as the spine. So as you kind of round your spine, bring your hips to the side, round into that cat shape. Bring the hips to the other side, so circling the hips and then arching the spine. So just trying to get as much movement, and don't worry about how perfect this looks. That's the one great thing about being at home in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to be self-conscious about how this looks to anyone else. This is all about feeling into your movement and making it work for you. Just make sure that you're feeling something. Trying not to tense the shoulders, to keep them away from the ears. And then we'll change direction and do a few more hip circles back the other way. And again, use that same undulation of the spine. And back to center. Okay, so we're going to bring a little bit of core work into the position at the moment. So we stay in this same tabletop position with a flat back. We're going to stretch back the right leg. Leave the toes on the mat for a moment and just feel the right leg muscles tightening up and engaging. Draw in your belly. Lift your pelvic floor. Now my left foot is flattened onto the mat. That's my own personal choice. Or you can tuck your toes, whichever feels more comfortable in the knee or whichever gives you best stability. I like to have my ankle pressing right down into the ground for extra stability. So then we're going to lift the right leg up. We're going to try and keep the hips level. What often happens is the right buttock rises up. So we're going to try and keep the buttocks level, hips level. Keep the core strong, so keep your belly drawn in, your pelvic floor lifting. I like to point my toes of the right foot to the floor and press back into the sole of the foot and into the heel particularly. Now, if you feel steady enough, you can reach your arms straight out in front to create this kind of idea of a straight line from your left fingertips to your right heel. Nice straight spine. If that's too much, you can just bring your left hand to the ground and walk it away from you to get a nice stretch instead. One more nice deep breath. And exhale. Bring the right knee to the ground, bring the left hand back into position, and we're going to change sides. So this will give the right hand a rest if it's starting to feel tired. Press down firmly through this right foot. Keep your left toes on the mat for a moment and feel the left leg engaging. The thighs tightening up. Inhale, lift the left leg off the mat. Try not to lift the left hip up. Keep the hips level. Tighten in the core. And then you can reach out with your right hand. Look forward perhaps, or look down. I like to look down actually. Going to keep some nice long straight line in the spine. Keep the core strong. Maybe again, point the toes to the ground. Again, this helps just to keep the leg strong and engaged, that left leg. Again, if you prefer, you can have your hand on the ground to help with your balance. And on your exhale, brilliant, bring the hands to the ground. Nice. Let's sit back on the heels again, just take another little break and a stretch. Walk the fingers away from you, lengthen your sides to feeling this stretch up through the sides, under the arms, into the shoulders. Let the head rest. Now walk your hands back in towards you. And we're going to come to sitting, so you can either just bring your feet to the side and sit down, or even fancy, cross your shin over your calf muscle and walk yourself back over, rolling over the feet, just for some fanciness. We're going to just start to work the neck, also part of the spine. So when we talk about spinal undulation, that also comes into the neck. So let's make sure that we're nicely warmed up here as well. So find your comfortable seat. Let your shoulders relax down. Bring your chin to your chest and hold it here for a few moments. And just let the chest rise up to meet the chin too. Now inhaling, let's look to the ceiling. And again, keep this lift in the sternum. One more breath, nice lengthening of the throat, all the muscles here. Exhale, bring your chin back down to your chest. Inhale, bring it back to the center. Take a nice deep breath, yeah. And on your exhale this time, I want you to drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Hold for another breath. Keep the shoulders soft. Inhale, rise to center. And exhale, drop. Left ear towards left shoulder. Inhale, back to center. We'll do that again, both sides. The right ear towards the right shoulder, without the right shoulder lifting towards the ear. So shoulders down. If you feel you can go a little bit further, let's take the right hand over onto the kind of left side of your head, towards the kind of left temple or wherever it rests comfortably. Without pulling the head, just let the hand rest there as an extra weight. And you might stretch your left fingertips towards the floor. Feel the lengthening. And then release the hand and lift the head to center. Let's do the same on the other side. So let's drop the right or left ear towards the left shoulder. And you can stay like this, or you can place your left hand to the right side of your head. So on top, just to add a little extra weight, stretch the right fingertips towards the floor. Breathe into that, one more breath. Inhale, release the hand, lift the head. And then we're going to make some head circles. So we're starting with chin to the chest. Looking to the right. So I like to kind of like tilt the head as though I'm bringing my ear towards my shoulder, but also look slightly in that direction. Then lift up, look up. And exhale, bring yourself down through the left side. Bring the chin across the chest. And we'll go twice more in the same direction. So 3 circles. Going clockwise. Nice and slowly. I like to inhale as I go to the right and look up. And exhale as I come down the other side. Now when your chin comes back to your chest, you can change direction and do 3 more circles the other way. Nice and slowly, mindfully, consciously, so you don't pull anything. The obviously slower we go, the more we can connect with what we're feeling as we go. If we tear into things, that's where sometimes the injuries can happen. And then when you finished your 3, just shake it out and continue. So we are going to make our way back onto, actually, we're going to take it into a side stretch. That's what my plan was. Let's remember what I'm doing. Let's bring the right hand out beside us on the mat. And we're going to reach up through the left arm, create some space, so really stretch towards the ceiling. And then softening the right arm, we're going to start to lean to the right, bringing left arm up and overhead so the palm faces down towards the floor. Keep pressing through this hip, this left side hip. Sit bone is pressing down into the ground, drawing in your belly, and take a nice stretch up through the side. Breathe into the left side rib cage, left lung. And inhale to rise back up. Release the left hand to the ground. Walk it out away from you a little bit. Reach up into the right arm. Take a breath in, lengthen, and then exhale, start to lean to the left. Stretching over towards the left. So reaching those fingertips as though they're reaching for the wall beside you. Press down firmly through the right sit bone, draw in your belly to engage the core, lift the pelvic floor. Soften this left arm so that it's not stopping you going deeper, it's not tensing the shoulder, everything is nice and relaxed. Just giving you a nice support through the hand. And inhale. Coming up. We're going to come back onto hands and knees. And we're going to spread out the fingers. Walk the hands in front of the shoulders this time. We're going to come into downward facing dog. Tuck the toes. Start to lift the hips and straighten the legs a little bit. They don't have to completely straighten, so keep a little bend in the knees. And then just start to press off the hands to lengthen through the arms and into the spine and in all the way to the tailbone. Draw in your belly. Look back towards your thighs. And continue to create that length in the spine all the way into your tail and you'll feel it into the sit bones at the top of the backs of your legs. Now we're going to do a bigger movement of undulation of the spine as we come into a plank pose. So this is good for building strength in the arms, shoulders, and core. You need the whole body to be involved. So I want you to really firm up the legs. Make sure the feet are back far enough that when you bring your shoulders forward and lower your hips to make this nice straight line shape, that your legs are far back enough that you can straighten out. On your exhale, push back into downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward through the spine. So you can create a little rounding in the spine as you come forward. Draw the shoulders back down the body, away from the ears. And then try not to let the hips sink too much. If you feel any pulling in your lower back, you've probably gone too far. Exhale, push back. Inhale again, into the plank. And exhale, coming back into downward dog. Drop your knees. Sit back on the heels for a moment. I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. We're going to work into, and I know this is always a sticking point for people in class, is the undulation required to work into the upper spine. Actually, there's a preparatory pose we're going to do first, but what we're working towards is this nose, chin, chest kind of roll forward and up into cobra. That's where we're headed. There's one pose we're going to do first, make that a little bit more real in your mind, and also to create a little bit more movement in the upper spine. So what I'm going to get you to do this time is leave your hips directly over your knees, walk your hands out in front as far as they'll go. Now, still keeping the hips over the knees. You don't want to let the hips sink forward, okay? So try and keep them up where they are. This is Anahatasana, so heart opening pose. So let the heart sink towards the floor. Again, your head might rest on the floor. If you have enough extension through your upper spine, you might even get your chin to the floor to look forward. But if that hurts in your neck, then just bring the forehead to the ground. And work here for a few more breaths on letting the heart melt to the floor. I really want you to get that idea. Your heart is melting to the floor. You're working into your thoracic spine, your upper spine, creating some length there. One more breath, everyone. Now press into your hands again. Shift some weight forward and then walk your hands back in towards you. Okay. So you can again take a break. Sit down while I show you what we're doing next. We're going to be coming from child's pose into tabletop. And so from your child's pose, I want you to get a good length through your arms. Lift up to tabletop. Then bending your elbows. It's like you're bringing your nose to the ground between your hands. Then it's like you're rolling a ball from your nose to your chin, and you're moving your hips towards the floor and coming up into cobra, coming back onto your knees and coming back into child's pose. Okay, so it is quite strong on the arms and shoulders, but it's a good one to work up to create that movement in the spine, building strength in the arms, shoulders, and it's just a really lovely way to flow. So it just takes a little bit of time to get your mind and body to connect in this one. I know I had to practice it lots when I first, it was really evaded me when I started yoga, and this was something that my teacher at the time did a lot of. So that idea of there's a ball here and you're going to roll it from your nose to your chin to your chest or your sternum. Okay, so imagine that ball, nose, chin, and you don't have to actually touch the mat. In fact, your arms are going to work harder if you don't touch the mat. You won't collapse into the ground either. So keep the elbows bent, but don't let the elbows touch the floor. This is another thing I see a lot. And once the elbows touch the floor, you're stuck. You're done. You can't go forward if your elbows are down. So keep the elbows off the mat, but hugging into the sides of the body. Nose, chin, chest. And then you can drop the hips. Inhale up to cobra and push back to child's pose. Take a break. Let's all do it together now if you're not already with me. Okay, let's go. Inhale up to tabletop. Bend your elbows and start to drop your nose towards the floor, maybe just a little ahead of the hands. Roll, come forward a bit more onto the chin and a bit more onto the chest. Drop your hips to the floor and lift to cobra. Back to child's pose. Take a breath. Up again. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale. Nose, chin, chest. Rolling forward. Coming up. Cobra. Exhale. Child's pose. One more like that. Inhaling up. Exhale. Nose, chin, chest. And back to child's pose. Now, we're going to come up and take a lunge to take a little break from the arms and spinal work. Step your right foot up between your hands and then just gently kind of rock into that to kind of ease into your hips. We haven't done much with the hips yet. If this is tough on your left knee, either roll over your mat to create a thicker cushion for your knee, or indeed use a blanket or a cushion if you've got one to hand. And you can place that under your knee just to make things a little softer. There's got to be some benefits to doing your practice at home, isn't there? You can use all your nice comfy props. You can make yourself as comfortable as you like. And rocking in and out, even let your toes come off the ground, toes point to the ceiling. Rock in and out. Soften into those hips. Now settle into your lunge. Now just in terms of lunges, we always want to make sure that our knee is back a good way behind the hip. Okay, can you see that the knee, my hip is here. Let's say if I change sides just to show you for a moment. My hip is here, my knee is back here. If my knee is right under my hip, it's going to put more pressure on the knee for a start, but also it's not giving you the stretch through this front thigh into the quad here or into the hip flexor here at the front of the hip. So the further back your knee goes, the more stretch you're doing. That's a lunge. Okay, that is what we want to do. So again, I'm going to put my right foot forward. And then we're going to start to work into our hamstrings a little bit at the back of the thigh into the calf. So we're going to start to walk our hands back, coming more onto the left knee. Start to peel the sole of your right foot off the ground. Point the toes to the ceiling and try and straighten that leg as much as you can. See how the leg is straightened, toes point to the ceiling. And the more you bring your toes back towards your shin, the deeper the stretch you'll get through here into the calf muscle and into those hamstrings. So see if you can hold that one for a few breaths. Square your hips so that they're nice and level. Lift your chest up and maybe fold in towards your leg. See how that works. Make sure you're not overextending the back of this. If it feels anyway painful at the back of your knee, soften, bend, bring a minor bend back into that leg just to alleviate that strain. No need to go too far, no need to strain things. Always it's a fine line between a nice good stretch and a horrible strain. And I guess the only way is to really listen to your body and to notice the difference and start to learn the difference. Now just start to bend that right knee again. Walk your hands back forward, bring the sole of the foot back to the ground. Lift your left knee and we'll come back into downward facing dog and we'll just take a little wiggle and a stretch and a breath. And then we'll drop the knees again and bring the left foot forward for the same treatment on the other side. Make sure your right knee is back as far as it can go, giving you that stretch. And again, we'll just kind of rock in and out of it. Now, mindful movements. Now holding this one out, let the hips sink towards the floor, let the spine lengthen. You can feel that lengthening and undulation rippling up through the spine now that you're hopefully aware of that sensation. And then we're going to take that hamstring stretch again. So let's walk the hands back. Bring the hips back so that you're kind of directly up over this right knee, sorry. Bring the sole of the foot off the ground and point the toes towards the ceiling of the left foot. So pointing up, and the more you bring your toes back towards the shin of the left leg, the deeper the stretch will be. Straightening at the knee as much as possible, squaring the hips, and then try and lengthen and straighten your back. Draw in the belly. and then maybe fold forward, okay? But maybe just getting the back straight, you'll already feel an increase of stretch through that left leg. So if that is already enough for you, if getting your hands to the ground is tricky, you can always stand up and do the same. Straighten your back and lean forward just a little bit. If, again, just go to whatever stage works for you best. The hands on the ground might give you a little extra stability and a bit more control. Now gently bring that sole of the foot back to the ground. Hook your hands forward, tuck your right toes, lift the right knee off the ground, and bring the left foot back into your downward facing dog again. Take another breath. Now we're going to come back to our nose, chest, chin, but from a slightly different angle. So again, wiggle your feet back. We're going to come back into that downward dog plank flow and flow it into the nose, chest, chin movement. So inhale, come into your plank. Exhale, drop the knees. Inhale again here. Exhale, bend your elbows, nose, chin, chest, lowering the hips, lifting the chest for cobra. And again, you don't have to lift very high. I kind of tend to do that myself, but you do not have to go that high. Exhale, back into child's pose. Take another breath. Lift to downward dog. Inhale back to plank. Exhale, drop the knee. Nose, chin, chest, cobra. Exhale, child's pose. And then making your way back to downward dog, last round. Inhale, plank. Exhale, drop the knees. Nose, chin, chest. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, let's come straight to downward dog this time. Gently start to walk your feet to the top of your mat. Bending the knees as much as you need to get there. Leave the feet about hip distance. I'll turn to face you there. So hip distance means about 2 fists would fit between. And it means that the outside edges of your feet are in line with the outside edges of your hips. So when I say hip distance, that's what I mean. So from here, we're going to press into our shins and lengthen the spine forward. And again, I'll turn to the side to show you that. So we're lengthening up into the spine, try and straighten the back as much as possible. So your back is kind of parallel with the floor. On your exhale, we're going to lower down into a forward fold. Take your hands to your opposite elbow. And just allow yourself to be drawn down nice and deeply towards the floor. If it feels nice, you can sway yourself side to side. Just keep your feet really grounded and weight of the body kind of evenly distributed. When you go side to side, you will feel the weight slightly shift from one foot to the other. But if you're grounded, that will keep you nice and balanced. There shouldn't be any reason to topple. Again, just come back to your breath, making sure you still have equal breath, samavritti, equal measure. Inhale and exhale. Now we're going to ripple through the spine back to standing. So let your hands go, let them dangle. Firm in your lower belly, lift your pelvic floor and start to roll yourself up to standing with a rounded spine. So it's like you're stacking one vertebra on the next as we move all the way up through the body into the neck, which lifts last. Open the shoulders back, take a nice stretch, reach up. Look up. Exhale, release the arms down. Bring your chin back to your chest. We're going to roll back into our forward fold. So chin to chest, rounding. So it's like your chest is caving in a little. Belly in. Rolling slowly all the way down. Just free breathing. Mindfully into your forward fold. And rolling all the way. Slowly, slowly, slowly back up again. Open your arms out. Reach up. Look to the hand. Chin to chest. Arms down. We're going to do that one more time. So roll the shoulders forward. Cave the chest in. Draw in the belly. Roll yourself down. Take a breath at the bottom. And then gently start to roll yourself back up to standing. Shake out the shoulders. Nice big circles. And actually what we can do is bring our hands onto our shoulders. Bring the elbows together. Make nice big circles with the elbows. One more like that. And then when the elbows come back to touch, let's change direction, go back the other way. And release. So we're going to bring all of that together now in a sun salute. This is the Satyananda version of the sun salute. So we're building a little bit of lunge work as well, which is nice to kind of warm up and into the hips. But we're going to continue with that nose, chin, chest ideas. I apologize already if you're already sick of that movement, but like everything we do in yoga, it's a process, okay? So if it's not happening for you immediately, don't worry. Practice is what it's all about. If it is a matter of mind-body connection, then the more you do it, the more you will achieve that mind-body connection, and that's all that matters. If you're wondering why it's not quite happening for you, it could just be a matter of practice. It could be that you need a little bit more work on the upper spine mobility, and all of that will come with practice. Okay, so bear with me, and we'll take it through the sun salute. So stand at the top of your mat, round through the feet, engage the core, lengthen the tail towards the floor, if especially you have a tendency to stick the tail out, so that creates a bit of compression in the lower back, and that it exaggerates that arch in the lower back. So you want to try and just support the lower back, engage the core to support the lower back, lengthen the tail towards the floor, and ground firmly and evenly through both feet. Let your fingertips reach towards the floor, kind of energized, shoulder blades back and sliding down the back. One more breath. Now on your next inhale, reach the arms out and up and look up. Exhale, circle sweep them out again, and this time folding forward, keeping your back nice and straight this time. Swan diving, I like to think, all the way down into your forward fold. Let's hold this one. I'm going to take it very slowly. Now, bring your hands to the ground if they're not already there. So bend your knees if you need to do that. Step your right foot as far back as you can go. And we're going to keep the knee off the ground this time and stretch back into the heel for a lunge again, like a runner's lunge. Then, flattening your hands down into the ground, let's bring that left foot back so that you come into downward facing dog, and take a nice big stretch. Take a breath. Now inhale, shift the shoulders forward, lower the hips a little, and drop your knees to the ground. On your next exhale, let's lower nose, chin, chest, sliding forward all the time, lowering the hips and lifting up into the chest for your cobra. Exhale, back on the knees, tap the toes, and back into downward facing dog. Take another 2 breaths. Now on your exhale, you can step your left foot forward directly, or to make things easier, you can drop your knees and again take the left foot forward. Let's lift the right knee off the ground, lengthen the chest forwards. We're going to feel that undulation through the spine to straighten and lengthen the upper spine. Look forward, stretch back into the right heel, tightening your tummy. And on your next exhale, we're going to step forward, spring forward to the top of the mat. Fold all the way in towards your legs. Soften your knees. Bring yourself back up to standing. Reach up, look up. And then bring your hands to your heart. Take a moment. That's one side, that's the right side done. We'll do the left side. Now, ready for the next. Circle, sweep the arms out and up and look up. Tighten in the tummy. Exhale, keep your back straight, folding forward, arms out, swan diving into your forward fold. And again, I'll change the side. This time, left foot steps back, so bring your hands to the ground. Step the left foot back, bend your right knee, and sink into your lunge. We're going to keep that left leg straight this time, just stretching back into the left heel, tightening your tummy, and lift and lengthen your chest forward to straighten the back. Now, let's bring ourselves back to downward dog. So flattening the hands if you can. If you need to get your knee out of the way, do, and then we'll slide that right foot back and stretch and lengthen into downward dog. Look back at your thighs. Inhale, come into the plank. Exhale, drop your knees. Bend your elbows, lower nose, chin, chest, sliding forward, lowering the hips, and coming into cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And again, take another couple of breaths. Now we're going to be stepping our right foot forward. So again, you might practice doing it in one big step, or you might prefer to drop your knees and you can even give yourself a helping hand to get that right foot forward. I know this can be the tricky part of these sequences, is stepping forward. Lift the left knee off the ground if it's not already there, and stretch back into that left heel again. Take another breath and lengthen your chest forward. And then stepping up, exhale into your forward fold. Hold it here for another breath. Inhale to rise up. Reach up, look up. And exhale to return hands to the heart. Okay. Hope everyone's okay. We're going to do that a little faster this time. Again, one round each side. And then we'll be making our way towards relaxation. So just so you know, it's like the carrot I'm dangling at the end of the class. Release the hands to the side. Reset the body. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, fold forward, arms out and down. Head hang. Inhale, step right foot back. Look forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, drop the knees, nose, chin, chest. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, left foot forward. So again, stepping directly forward or dropping the knees, helping that foot forward. Lift the right knee. Exhale, step forward. Fold in. Inhale, rise up. Great, I'm going to bang my head off the shelves. Exhale to your heart. Other side. Inhale, stretch out and up. Look up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, step your left foot back, bending your right knee, landing in your lunge. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, drop the knees, tighten in the tummy, keep the elbows in, nose, chin, chest. Letting the hips come to the floor. Look up, cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Now stepping the right foot forward or dropping the knees, bringing the right foot with you. Lift the left leg, you're back in your runner's lunge. Exhale, step forward, fold in. Inhale, rise up, nice straight back, strong core. Look up, lengthen up, and exhale back to your heart. We're going to make our way down to sitting straight away after all that work. Hopefully, it's just a nice flow of movements to get things moving in your body, create strength. And just it's that flow of energy that I like to think about, especially when I think about undulating the spine. I feel it's like a wave, you know, this kind of watery feeling of this wave going through you, and the energy that is allowed to flow through the body when we've created a nice flowing path for it. That's what's going on in my head, at least. Okay, so we're just going to work the core a little bit before we come into lying and relaxation. So let's bring the feet to the mat, bending your knees and feet together. We're going to take a twist. So it's a core strengthening twist we're doing today. So right hand is going to come behind you to support you and keep you upright. Left hand is going to come to the outside of the left knee. I'm going to use the hands to help draw us around, but we also want to create strength here in this area. So I want you to tighten up those muscles and keep lifting your rib cage up away from your pelvis. Can you create that space between the two? And then twist to the right. You might be able to turn your head to look back towards the right shoulder or beyond, or to the wall behind you. Keep the legs squeezing in towards one another to keep the core strong and keep the spine lengthening. Now, you can stay here for another few breaths, or you have the option to lift the arms up for a no hands version. The core has to work a little bit harder because it doesn't have the hands for support. See if that works for you. Otherwise, feel free, of course, to keep your hands on the ground and on your leg. Last breath. Hands back down. Unwind. And we'll take it round to the other side. So I'll just flip so I can still look at you. Left hand behind the back. And if you press into the fingertips, you can see that lack of, it'll give you that stand support, like a stand, so that you don't round into the lower back and start to slump. Okay, so no slumping, no slouching. And then we're going to bring the right hand to the outside of the left knee. Lift the chest, so get as much length in the spine as you can, tighten in the tummy, and twist. A few more breaths. Make sure your pelvic floor is engaging, your lower belly is drawn in. And then if you want, for the last few breaths, you can reach out, keep the legs squeezing in towards one another. and unwind. We're going to lower ourselves down onto our backs, nice and gently. If at this point you'd like to place a cushion under your head or a blanket over you, feel free to do that. I'll lower myself down. And actually, if you've got the cushion under your head, take it away for a moment. We're just doing one more thing that I forgot I wanted to do when we came onto our backs. And it's our final kind of back undulation. And what I like about this one is it's good for strengthening glutes, core, but also you can feel the ground against your spine. So you have a strong connection with the sensation of that undulation of the spine. So what I'm going to get you to do is bend your knees for little bridge. Walk your heels in close to your buttocks. Let your hands rest down beside you. Press the palms down into the floor. Draw your shoulders in a little bit underneath you as well. And then we're going to press into the feet to lift the tailbone, so just the tailbone. Can you feel when you do that? It's just a little kind of rocking of the pelvis. When you lift your tail, you're kind of lifting your pubis up towards your heart a little bit more. So you're drawing in and creating this tilt in the pelvis, this posterior tilt. And you can feel your lower back flattening into the ground. So there's a natural, you bring your tail back onto the floor. You have a natural arch in the lower back, in the lumbar spine. So as you lift your tail, lift your pubic bone up, you are going to lower and flatten your lower back into the ground. Then we're going to continue, keep lifting the pubis and the hips, and you literally kind of roll along the spine, snake along the spine all the way up to the upper spine. Feel the weight between the shoulder blades, and then the higher you push up with the hips, the more up towards your neck and head you'll feel that pressure. But it's a gentle pressure. And exhale, coming back down, one vertebra at a time. So that's what I mean about when you're on the ground like this, you can really feel each and every vertebra. So as you come down towards the lower back, see if you can really press into the lower back before the pelvis hits the ground, and then the pelvis, and then roll all the way to the coccyx, the end of the tail. We'll do that one more time. So again, you start to lift the coccyx away from the floor, lift the sacrum away from the floor, flatten the lower back into the ground, and then start to lift and peel the spine off the ground, up onto the shoulder blades, towards the neck. Lift, 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 press firmly and evenly through both feet. Hold for a breath at the top this time. And gently allow yourself to ripple back down, one vertebra at a time. Lower, middle back, lower back, pelvis and sacrum, and then all the way back to the tail. Lovely. Right, you're definitely ready for relaxation now. So if you want to place that cushion under your head or the blanket over you, anything that will make you comfortable as you come into Shavasana. We'll make our Shavasana shape. So legs separated, feet flopping out, arms down beside you, palms facing up, and then just allowing the shoulders to flatten back in towards the floor, and the palms facing up allows that opening across the chest, that external rotation a little bit in the shoulders so that you can flatten the shoulder blades into the ground and just feel open and surrender and let go. Just take a moment to take the body, sometimes a while to catch up, you know, you have to give it permission to let go. It's on alert. You need to let your parasympathetic nervous system kick in now. That's your ability to relax. Your sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight or freeze mode, where it's constantly on alert for danger or for things it needs to be doing to keep us alive. But right here, you're supported by the ground beneath you. You're in a safe place. But actually, the beautiful thing about doing your yoga at home on a daily basis is that sense of ease and relaxation that comes from being in your own environment, in your safe place. As long as you can just forget about all the stuff around you that needs doing. That will be there when you finish. So let's take this time. This is a really important part of our class. Giving your body permission to relax. It's a lost art for many people in this busy world. Come to your breath. Breathe with ease. No controlling the breath, no counting, nothing, just observing the reality of your normal personal rhythm. Guiding us into the present moment. Anytime you find your mind wandering, just bring it back to the breath. Again, notice the body. If there's anywhere that you're feeling tension, you're holding on in the legs, arms, hands. Use your exhale to bring a wave of softness and release. So your body is sinking deeper into a really thick pile of carpet or the sand. That's where you want to bring your mind to. Or the earth, grass. There's your happy place. I invite you to stay here as long as you like. I'm going to make my way back to sitting, gently moving the body with awareness, rolling to the side, coming up to sitting. If you're with me, you're coming to sitting, just take a moment to allow your body to readjust to its upright position, slowly and gradually. Opening the eyes, bringing the hands together at the heart. Thank you very much for joining me today on the mat. I hope to see you back soon. I hope you've enjoyed the class. Namaste.